Welcome to another episode of Ship War, my review of Safety Not Guaranteed.
Shipper War. When ship happens, I'm there.
And I decided before I made my top 10 favorite romances in films of 2012 list, I needed to see this movie because I had a sense that this movie had a romance that I probably would enjoy. I don't know if it would have been in my top 10, and I'm glad to say it ended up in my top 10. I had to rework my top 10 after watching this movie because I ended up really enjoying this film and really enjoying the romance. I really didn't know much about the movie, like the premise, aside from it had to do with time travel. I didn't know much about any of the actors in it besides Aubrey Plaza, who I've been compared to personality-wise to by several people in my life and also online. I try to dress like her as she does in the movie with the little beanie and the jacket and stuff. Anyways, so that's pretty much all I really knew about the film. So I ended up watching the movie and I ended up really enjoying it. As I said, I had to rework my top 10 list, and I just love the build-up for the romance because it starts off in a way that you're not sure where it's going, and then you start really feeling for these characters and this relationship they're having, which is so bizarre and weird, and I love bizarre and weird. So I was loving this movie because the humor in this film is so up my alley. Like, I was so feeling the sarcasm and the dry sense of humor and the references to like Star Wars and lasers. It was just so funny. Stormtroopers and lasers, that's what it was. And it was flipping awesome. Also, Kenneth, the character, who's the guy who's doing the whole future thing, basically, Andrew Plaza's character is an intern for a magazine for Seattle, and she is given this job to go to this town and do research on this guy. And she goes with two other co-workers of her. One of them is actually her boss. She's just an intern, but she ends up doing all the work because her boss is just there just to like meet up with an old girlfriend he had in high school. The other one is actually does actual work, but she's the only one that they feel this guy, Kenneth, will actually even talk to her because she's an attractive female, and they know if you show him that you're interested in this whole time travel thing, he's gonna most likely let you in. And he does let her in, and they become really close. And at first she's just doing it to get information off of him so she can do this article on him, but then over time she ends up falling for him, and again, the build up for that, I just loved it. This movie is just overall a great film. It's a feel-good movie. It's funny. It has some really sad moments, but overall it's a great film, and I definitely recommend this movie to everyone to watch. If you by any chance are curious to see this movie and you still haven't seen it, I plead to you, please, to go see this movie, or not really go see it, but rent it or buy it or Netflix it or whatever means you can to see this film. I have to say this would definitely fall in my top 10 favorite films of 2012 because it was overall a great film, and it's the type of films I really enjoy. I'm starting to realize I'm more leaning towards indie films as the type of films I really enjoy over more mainstream films, because I feel like mainstream films are they become kind of redundant to a certain extent, or they're just a lot more effects and visual things and not so much about the script and the words and the emotions in the story. So with that said, definitely recommend, check it out, and that's it. So that is all for this episode of Ship War. Goodbye, and until next time. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. The pilot episode review of mine, you know that I was pretty disappointed with the pilot episode for this series. And I have to say, since then, this series has just gotten progressively better. I'm enjoying the story, enjoying the characters, and enjoying the chemistry between all the characters. I'm enjoying the partnership between Catherine and Tess. I find that to be freaking hilarious, those two. I'm enjoying JT, his dry sense of humor, and Evan and his beautiful British accent. So with that said, this mid-season